Hey, what's up guys, Maltosier, and we are here with Who is the Red Queen? And also, it is oddly quiet. There's no, I would expect music or something on the title screen, but there's nothing here. I believe this is another submission to the Spooktober Game Jam on itch.io. I don't entirely remember. I'll correct myself on screen if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I don't know much about it, but I like the art. Oh, also... Oh, it's not what the music was there. Also, there's a lot of warnings about graphic, gore, death, suicide, falling from high places. Just so you guys know, but there's some music. There is the music right there. So why don't we get into it? I descended through a starry sky, and my long blonde hair and red cape flew wildly as I looked down. I looked to the ground below me with my blue eyes. Falling, falling, falling. I was falling. Down this rabbit hole with no start, nor end, I was falling. Where had I gone? Where could I go? As if I were forgetting something very important, I fell down, down, and down, through a sparkling, shining darkness, too bright to be dark, too dark to be bright. I must have been chasing after someone. After something. Like a girl whose curiosity was piqued by a rabbit with a watch, I was falling, 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 down, 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 again, again, again. This sounds kind of familiar to me. See, I've never actually, read or, watched a lot of the classic folktales, but I'm pretty sure this is Alice in Wonderland, right? Falling into the rabbit hole? The endless well seemed to lead everywhere, yet nowhere at once. Either the hole extended very deep, or I descended very slow. Was I truly even going downward? Perhaps this was all a dream, a fever dream, or in more words, a fantasy that would be as soon forgotten as it was had. I held just one certainty. I was Alice. Alice was me. Now then, just how long was I supposed to keep falling? The air brushed past my fingers, on my cloak ruffling upward. A quiet humming breeze caressed my neck, as if I could hear someone's voice, a pleasant voice, a woman's voice. I strained my ears for whispers in the wind. Alice, what a time for madness! Without a bit of fear or vertigo, should you not have focused on topics more pressing? Like darkness or the light, or how you couldn't awaken from this dream. But even now you were just falling, falling, falling. What does it matter? Still figuring out the voice, guys. Still figuring out the voice. With a thump thump, I came upon soft grass and the fall was over. Not a bit hurt, I forced myself to my feet. Up above my head, the firmament whence I had fell had not a tear in its blue canvas. Down about my eyes, only unfamiliar surrounded me. I started on an exploratory stroll. Soon I stumbled upon a rabbit that looked like a girl, or a girl who looked like a rabbit. Perhaps the correct answer was that she was both a girl and a rabbit. She had white hair and floppy rabbit ears, pale skin and purple eyes. Her hair was tied into two low ponytails by white ribbons, a clock pin adorning her bangs. She wore gloves, an oversized blue coat with golden accents, and a red vest over her dress shirt tied with black ribbon. She also had khaki pants tucked into her boots. She looked quite scared as she stood in the forest clearing. She was even holding her hands to her chest. Not lingering much longer on the specifics of the rabbit before me, I called out to her. Excuse me? Calling out to her caused her to jump. Where was this place? Why was I here? How could I leave to return home? I thought of what to ask her, but she recognized me as soon as I spoke, so my questions were lost in my mouth unasked. She looked at me with troubled eyes. Alice? White Rabbit? Have you seen Her Majesty? Do you know where she's gone? Where she could go? Her Majesty the Red Queen, she must be taking a vacation of sorts. I only wish that she could have left this little rabbit a note. I'm in a bit of a panic, you see. The land can't run without its queen. She then took on a distracted look. Please let me know if you catch sight of her. I nodded. Who this Red Queen was, I had not a clue but a tingling deja vu. But my acceptance of the request let the white rabbit breathe out a sigh of relief. I'm really liking the art style and the music in this game. It's really, really clean. It's like super freaking clean. And the text and everything's just, it's good. Just as I prepared to pose my own questions, she straightened her back in surprise. I'm afraid I have to go. I'm going to be late. The white rabbit dashed off. I want to ask some questions. Never mind that. Follow her, Alice. Although I chased after her with only a moment's pause, when I turned a corner, she was nowhere to be seen. There was only a forest path before me. I found myself in a... Oh my god. This looks like a 3D model with like some art and stuff mixed into it. Don't really know how it was made or if it was like a given asset or something, but it looks nice. I found myself in a garden meticulously kept. There was a large white gazebo in the center with a table and chairs for tea. Tailing the rabbit, I barely dashed a few paces. I hadn't realized such a place was so close by. Rather, I hadn't realized I had run this far. A conjecture tickled my mind in this world, and I fell into that this world I fell into was a magical place, one with paths that pointed to one way but twisted to another. With one explanation much more far-fetched than me just knowing where I was running, I took a moment to catch my breath. Glancing around, I began my walk about the garden. Flowers and greenery all around, but not a person in sight. This place was beautiful. I wanted to meet the person who made it. Not quite a gardening person myself, I still appreciated a pretty place, and felt a swelling excitement to explore what sights could have been. A reminder of reality that then dampened my joyful curiosity. I wanted some answers a way out and back home. As pleasant as dreams were, one had to be able to awaken from them before they turned into nightmares. Whether this was a dream or reality has yet to still be seen. Step, step, I walk around. Hop, hop, I peered over the bushes. Soon enough, I discovered the heart of the garden where one might sit for tea. Oh, who is that? See, here's the thing. I don't really remember all the characters or like anything really in Alice in Wonderland. I can remember bits and pieces of like how this dialogue is written, which is, I don't know why. I'm guessing it was probably read to me or something when I was really young, or like in school and stuff. So I don't know. I spotted a white-haired girl in the garden. To amend my previous thoughts, wouldn't it be right to say I also rather appreciated a pretty person? Her hair was true. Her hair was long and reached her shoulders. Her skin pale and her eyes a light purple. Another purple, okay. She was also adorned with a regal blue and white dress, and she was long. That was so long it hit her feet. She reminds me a lot of Weiss from Ruby. My favorite character in that, by the way. Her expression was quite distant and calm. I noticed bandages wrapped upon her right hand, which was gently clasped over her left in front of her. Frivolous thoughts flew from my mind as our eyes met. Her eyes seemed to beckon me over, so I went to speak with her. She opened her mouth to speak. White Queen. Oh, okay. Are you enjoying the garden? The garden is beautiful. The gardener will be happy to hear that from you. However, if you have come here now, you should be searching for something. We should first introduce ourselves. She gave me a sad smile. I am the White Queen. Just like what the rabbit reasoned unclear to me, I already knew who she was. Here, that should be as good as a name. Your Majesty, my name is Alice. She frowned. Don't stand on ceremony, Alice. I'm not someone you need to speak with particularly respectfully. Welcome to my garden in Wonderland. Wonderland. That sad smile returned to her face. Wonderland. I tasted the word on my tongue. I can't remember why or how I'm here. Not this garden, but Wonderland. Once again she frowned. Is she frowning? I was falling, and I couldn't remember why I was falling. I was simply falling until I fell no more. I'm sure I've forgotten something very important. Is it gonna be that Alice, like, jumped off something to commit suicide and ended up here? It's gonna be something like that, isn't it? That pained smile returned. You needn't force yourself to remember. Some things are better left forgotten. Perhaps it was fated for you to come here. Perhaps something is missing that you must find. The world must appear like a place of dreams. You should find the Red Queen. The missing queen whom the White Rabbit was mentioned was the Red Queen. Then came a troubled look. I waited for the White Queen to continue. She hesitated to speak of the Red Queen, as if the elusive royal would appear like a ghost behind her as she spoke. I tried to imagine what sort of person the Red Queen was. She will let you return to your own reality. When you meet her, you should be able to find all the answers you were seeking for. As for where she is, that is for you to discover. Do you dislike her? At first she pursed her lips as if troubled again, but then came that somber smile. That is a difficult question, Alice. So she's like that. I'll let you judge her yourself. You might learn something new about yourself. Shall I head off to find her now? Her face lit up a bit. Why not stay for some tea? Of course I'd love to, but it's not quite afternoon tea time yet. She smiled this time much happier. A later time then. Certainly to have tea outside of tea time wouldn't do. That smile softened into a fond one as she lowered her lids. I won't keep you for too much longer, Alice. I'm sure you'll be able to find that person soon enough. Until later. Later. I waved goodbye to the White Queen and departed from her garden. Glancing back, I saw her gaze linger upon me. That poor smile of hers had turned somber again. She had bandages on her hand too. Something must have happened. I stepped into a twisting path in the forest. I didn't know which way to go to find the elusive Red Queen, turning left and right. To find a queen, I thought to seek a castle. However, the rabbit said that the queen was missing, so unless the rabbit had also forgotten something very important, the queen shouldn't have been at the castle. The Red Queen, she seemed like a troubling person. The way the White Queen's face froze, tongue stuttering along at the topic of the Red Queen, made me wonder. Was the latter queen a tyrant or a fool? The tutor at home liked to talk about kingship of that sort. To me, either or neither were fine. After all, who were the peasantry to affect the mood of a high queen? I hummed and walked along with a skip in my step as I reached a rhythm in my stride. I kicked a little something, an animal? That threw me off my beat. I just casually kicked an animal. I slowed to applaud, my mood a note dampened. Soon I heard the chatter of a girl a few trees away. Seeing not much civilization here in the forest, I followed the voice of the girl. Although she was chatting, I heard her voice alone. Oh, I don't know who this is. I see a hat. Was there a character called the Mad Hatter? Maybe. I passed by a few bushes and soon enough found a tea party in the middle of nowhere. At a table set before a tree sat the girl. The white cloth table was littered with all sorts of tea time things, from a tower with cookies and cupcakes, a rubber duck, and a cake with knives in it. Pitchers with dozens of tea tags and stacks of dishes. In the center there even laid a green vase with a dead plucked apart red rose beside it. Some petals sat in the water. The girl had long pink hair with uneven side bangs. Pale skin, first eye red and second yellow. The smile was on her features that contrasted with her eye bags. Her outfit was just as chaotic as the table. Under her black trench coat was a loose dress shirt tied with a large purple ribbon. She also wore checkerboard purple pants and white lace-up shoes. See, I don't really know why there's a full description of how each character is outfitted when you can see a picture of them, but maybe that's just the style of, like, Alice in Wonderland. On her gloved hand sat two hand puppets, a white hare with a yellow straw hat and a red bow tie, and a gray dormouse with a little pink flower perched by her ear. But most glaring of all was her large black top hat, wrapped haphazardly in purple ribbons with a piece of paper taped to it. Mad Hatter, okay. Hello there, Alice. What did you come here for? Her chatter ceased, her mismatched eyes piercing through me in its place. I noticed a little fang in her mouth as she opened it. Of course she has a little fang in her mouth. Of course she does! There is no room here at the table, so don't take a seat. No room. No room. The girl gave a wide grin as she won't to do frequently. I think that does make sense, but I don't know. In fact, it was rare the smile was wiped off her face. She moved the puppets on her hand, a sleepy mouse and a mad hare. Looking right to left, I could barely see the ends of the table set for tea. One person sat in a large space. Conversely, she almost seemed lonely. There's plenty of room, Hatter. Her smile shrunk a bit. To make my point, I took a seat in a large armchair across from the Hatter. The chair stunk of flowers as if to clear away the shadow of an unpleasant previous sitter. I sank back into it comfortably. Then I kept sinking before I jolted back up with a shallow gasp. Three's plenty a crowd. That's rude of you to say, Alice. Not very civil of you to sit down without being invited either. She granted me a cheeky grin and a wink. But whatever. Let's just treat you as our extra guest for tomorrow. Not today? Aren't they the same? Yesterday, today, tomorrow? Every day is never a day different. But since I'd rather not deal with it today, we just treat it as for tomorrow. Dormouse and March don't mind. You mentioned three, but I only see one. She wriggled the puppets on her hands as if to explain everything. One was herself, two was the first puppet, and three was the second puppet. I'm scared Alice might be blind. Her mad smile became a mad grin once more. That's a side effect of being Alice. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's just a side effect of being Alice. She sneered. The pitch of her voice warped. I don't know how to... Okay, whatever. Don't mind their comments. She is Dormouse and he March Hare. As she paused, waiting for me to greet the animal puppets. I waited. She waited. Her smile did not falter. In fact, it only widened in anticipation. The silence of the conversation bored me, so I relented to the Mad Hatter's wordless request. I was their guest for tomorrow, so a polite guest I decided to be. Well, hello there. Her smile became ordinary again. I was scared she was deaf as well. Hello there, Alice. It seemed, whenever she made the puppets talk, she often took a more neutral expression and kept her mouth closed like a ventriloquist. Between the puppets, I much preferred the Dormouse. If Puppet could fall asleep, she looked as if she was about to do so. I felt some pity, as if that meant the March Hare would speak more. What were we talking about before? A riddle? Maybe it was this one. Why is the raven like a writing desk? You have an answer to that? Do you have an answer to that riddle? You're no fun, Alice. Relax and have some wine. There is no wine. You're invited for tea tomorrow, Alice. The obligation of the host to offer our guest a drink at tea time. Maybe she was an alcoholic. Hatter, I can't in good faith call this time of day tea time, nor can I call it alcohol tea. Details, details. Add some butter. It'll be tea time eventually, so it's tea time now. We're having tea, so it might as well be tea time, don't you think? What did you come here for, anyway? Although I couldn't quite say that I'd come here to this tea party with a goal in mind, I figured I might as well tell her. I'm searching for the Red Queen. Her brow contorted as she took a sip of her tea. Puppet sat down just for that moment. Dumping the tea away and rinsing the cup, she poured herself another drink. Her mismatched eyes narrowed. Oh, her. The Hatter placed her lips to the rim of her teacup and stared at me. A minute passed, all 60 seconds consisting of staring before she ducked down under the table as if to find an item that popped up again. Her expression was back to its usual state. Stay and chat a little. I'll help you with a little something regarding Her Majesty. The Hatter poured me a cup of tea and slid over a plate of sandwiches. The Hatter's smile became wide. The plate hurled toward me, forcing me to hurriedly grab it lest sandwiches spilled all over my lap. Luckily, the cup of tea arrived much more calmly. I took a taste, finding Earl Grey. Is it tomorrow already? At the very least, it wasn't time for afternoon tea. If I knew I would have had tea now, I would have stayed a little longer to have some with the White Queen as well. It was not that people couldn't have tea outside of the afternoon tea, but it was a principle of things. If people drank tea any time of day, they would drink it all day. I sipped some more, enjoying the citrusy flavor of this black tea. Today is tomorrow for yesterday, don't you think? Unless she doesn't think. That would have been rude of you to ask. She's just normal. Orthogonal? I'm certainly sitting up straight, quite straight. Posture check. But regarding the Red Queen, do you have some news about her? I'd say I have some business with her instead. Something to do with meat and flesh and all the other red things that a Red Queen might have to do with. Aren't you a hatter? She grinned widely. Yes? Not a butcher. Unless your meat is made out of a hat. While talking about all things unappetizing, I took a bite of sandwich filled with an ambiguous color. A milky sweetness melted in my mouth. Oops. Sorry, guys. Melted in my mouth, and I tasted some sort of fruit inside. Maybe it was mango or kiwi or strawberry. Satisfied with the pleasant sweetness, I took another sip of tea. This game is a very slow burn, isn't it? I've been talking shit for like 20 minutes and nothing's really happened yet. But I'm assuming it's going to be worth it in the end. Alright. Satisfied with the pleasant sweetness, I took another sip of tea. This tea and these sandwiches are delicious. Thank you, Alice. You made them. Compliments to you, then. The Hatter grinned with a wink. Wow, such flattery. Since you've put me in a good mood, I guess we can go ahead with Her Majesty's matter. She smiled as if laughing. In fact, she'd been sitting here with us the whole time. I sat up even straighter in confusion, glancing around. I saw no queens in sight, nor a human, nor animal, beside the two of us here. The Hatter rolled a chair over and pulled a cloth off from over the chair's holdings. Ta-da! What is it? This song is just called Dismemberment. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon, guys. Nausea ran up my spine. On the chair sat a chunk of meat dressed up in tattered human clothes. Still dripping red, the flesh seemed to ripple, undulating. Was it rotting or was it still alive? My head spun as I squinted at the thing. This meat, no, this thing resembled a human torso, with half a neck and chopped off limbs. Dolled up with what could have been fancy clothes, this was surely human flesh. I sensed an odd familiarity to the torso, but it was... Oh, you know what? I think I screwed up something. An odd familiarity to the torso, and also felt as if I was looking at it from an incorrect angle. This was the torso of a regal woman. This was raw human flesh. This is the Red Queen? Oh, I think I messed up. Can I change this? What are image descriptions? Is image descriptions to describe it instead of showing it? Are they supposed to show something here normally? Is it like, am I too late on that? What happens if I have that? Okay, hold on. No, it looks like it's still just blotches. Maybe I have to reload. I don't know. Because in the options it gave me like image description. I was like, I don't know what the hell that is. I just kind of left it as default. So I didn't know if like it meant like it wouldn't show me anything and it would just describe it like this. But anyways, it's fine. Whatever. No big deal. This was the torso of a regal woman. It was raw human flesh. This is the Red Queen? An inappropriate question flitted across my mind. Could we consider it as a sitting if it didn't have legs? I suppose yes. I thought you said you weren't a butcher, Hatter. We definitely couldn't consider this a hat. Having just eaten, the strawberry taste in my mouth turned into a meaty texture like raw pork. Yikes. That's disgusting. I could almost taste sweet, rotten fat. I swallowed. I wonder if the Hatter wanted to make me sick. Yes, I'm a Hatter. I closed my eyes and rubbed the bridge of my nose. To distract my surprise, the feeling of my fingers almost felt like wet ground meat, even though I was sure that my digits were still attached to my palm. The image lingered uncomfortably behind my eyelids, not with disgust, but with another inexplicable emotion, a negative one for sure. I looked at the torso again, and it seemed so still. I saw exposed bone and shattered trachea. The cut must have not been wholly clean. Made with a blade sharpened not quite enough yet, but also not dulled not quite enough. Yes, this was the Red Queen. I knew not why I knew, but a voice in the back of my head told me that this was the Red Queen, a part of the Red Queen. I'm afraid Her Majesty can't speak right now. The Hatter stirred her tea and popped a bite-sized sandwich in her mouth, munching happily. Don't look like that, Alice. The Hatter didn't dismember Her Majesty. Yes, Hatter is innocent. Since only the Hatter spoke up in defense of herself, I wasn't particularly inclined to believe her, but whether or not she did kill the Queen, the end result sat before me. What should I do now? I remembered my uncertainty at this dead end aloud. What do you mean? All you have to do is find the other pieces. If you have anything you need Her Majesty for, all you need to do is put her back together. Have you forgotten, Alice? That sounded mad. So mad I wanted to laugh. This is Wonderland after all you need to do was find the pieces. That's right. That was right, Alice. That was all you need to do. It would be either terribly simple or terribly hard. I hope that no one had fed the Red Queen to the pigs or ministered up for a patty. Regardless, all I really needed was a head and a torso if I wanted to talk to her, and ask her what the secrets for returning home. May I take the body with me? Alice, you were a civilized girl. Did you really want to lug around a piece of meat like you were some sort of meat seller, selling to the cannibals? No, that wouldn't be fair, don't you think? Once you find most of her parts, let's just say the limbs, I'll give you a special present and help you out again. She patted a box to the side of the table. The box was just big enough for a cat, or a cake, or maybe something like a hat. It's probably the head, isn't it? Of course. Don't peek or try to find out what the present is. It wouldn't be a surprise like that, and I'll be very, very upset if you cheat. With that smile on her face, I couldn't see her upset. Only muddled sincerity came through her voice. Now then, I've got to grab something off the stove before it burns. The Hatter got up from her seat and walked away. Here I was alone with the Red Queen's flesh. He was missing all 4 limbs and a head, so to make her whole I would need to find 5 parts. I hoped that my search would be easy. Since the Hatter was nowhere in sight, I contemplated a decision to... Oh god. So there is an option to, like, peek at the fucking thing and get a bad ending, probably. So you know what? 4 is a good luck. It's good luck in every region. I tiptoed over to the other side of the table and surveyed what was around. I couldn't help but feel the headless slap of a human watching me, but I ignored the Red Queen's body, knowing that I would be seeing it often for a while. Looking over my shoulder, I ascertained that the Hatter had yet to return. I moved to find the present box on the cluttered table. If the Hatter hadn't tied up the box particularly at all, I could open it and close it as if I had never disturbed this mysterious prize to begin with. I cracked open a small gap so that nothing could come flying out. Nothing escaped from the box. Instead, I heard a strange strangled noise from whatever lied inside. A gurgling, drowning voice that caused chills to settle on the back of my neck. In one go, I took the lid off. Yep, that's the head. I knew it. Inside was a head, a bloodied head. The head seemed so familiar, but I couldn't quite make out the face as if the body had been jostled. I squinted. Spinning, the world was spinning. A sharp pain burst through my temple. I rested a palm on my head to stop a growing, pulsing headache in my skull. I reached out a shaking hand to adjust the head in the box. Step, step, step. Footsteps interrupted me. I thought I only just said not to peek, Alice. The Hatter brandished a hammer in her hand, her head and face a glowing red as if it had been left on the stove. Cheaters get what cheaters deserve. I backed up, crashing into the table, nearly tripping my own cloak. She raised her arm with the hammer and... crack. Sound, bloody gore. Is that what the audio descriptions are? Whatever. Dead end. Yeah, okay. I knew that was going to be a dead end. I just wanted to see it, okay? It kind of gave me more information, too, that I was right about it being a head, so that's cool. I shook my head. Instead of antagonizing the Hatter needlessly, I decided to take another sip of tea. I would see what was inside the box eventually. Spoilered! The Hatter returned soon enough, walking in from through the table. In her hand was a hammer glowing bright with heat. She chucked it to the side with a thump and let the metal sizzle on the ground. What was the hammer for? Does a hammer need a reason to be? Yeah, I'm sure it was for nothing. Don't worry about it. Anyways, go ahead and try to find some of the Red Queen's body. An arm, a head, or maybe two. Nah, not the head. Just bring them back here for me to attach to this. She pointed to the torso. It'll still be tea time when you come back. Let's just count you as an extra guest for the next tomorrow as well. To be exact with time, now is not tea time. I suppose there's not much else to do here. I looked at my empty cup of Earl Grey and lifted myself up from the armchair. For what it was worth, I quite enjoyed this odd hour tea. Shaking my legs just to make sure they hadn't fallen asleep, I started to leave. Until later. She leaned back into her chair and made a lazy wave in my way. Somehow she looked lonely. I returned to another forest path, walking forward and forward. After moving for a while, I realized that I had no idea where I was going. In simpler words, I was lost. I walked around in a few circles before looking upward. Oh, what the fuck? That's a cat? Above I saw a cat. So every animal in this game was just going to be an anime girl, huh? That's fine. A cat who resembled a girl, or a girl who resembled a cat, leisurely stood on the tall branch of a tree. Unlike the white rabbit, this cat, the Cheshire cat, oh, I've heard of this cat. Isn't this cat evil or something? I don't know. I couldn't help but wonder if she was actually neither a cat nor a girl and was just pretending to be one. I met her cat eyes, nodding in silent greeting. Her grin stretched across her face as if she stared right back. Sharp teeth filled her mouth and claws adorned her hands. This is probably a cat. Cheshire. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The flame was her tail. That was her tail flickered, and she hopped down to meet me closer. Her flaming tail made me think it was a wolf for a second. I don't suppose you could tell me which way I could go. I posed a silly question that I expect no answer for. After all, I was asking a cat for directions. Depends on where you want to go. To my surprise, I received a response. To find the Red Queen. Ah, the crazy one. Are you sure you'd prefer not to go with the nice one? The one I'm searching for is the Red Queen. Alright, the Mad Queen. Then again, we're all mad around here. Except for Her Majesty the White Queen. She's too sad to be mad. If you're looking for the Red Queen, up, up, down, down, left, right might help. Did you fucking Konami code me, you son of a bitch? Self-awareness, Alice! Self-awareness. And then she vanished into thin air. Poof! And soon enough she reappeared. Just go to the White Queen instead. Maybe you'll find something on the way. She started to fade away again before popping back. Whoop! Just kidding. How are you? I forgot to ask, how's the Hatter doing? She seems to be fine. It's still tea time over there. Me! It's always tea time with that one. A third time, she disappeared, leaving a grin lingering in the air before that too vanished. This was a grin that without a cat instead of a cat without a grin. The third time was the charm the cat did not return. Can't say I've seen a cat quite like that before. Then again, Cheshire wasn't really a cat. Fucking hell! I want to see it. I try to remember just what the Cheshire cat had said, speaking the pattern of directions aloud to a beat. Up, up, down, down, left, right. And then press A, B, start. Right? I felt as if I'd missed a few items, but that was all that the cat had given. I backtracked to the position where I met the cat and followed the recommended direction. Soon enough, I found myself at a crossroad. I saw no limbs nor heads in sight. Left was labeled right, right was labeled left. What with wrongly written signboards, I chose at random on where to go next. Every few meters, I found a new signboard with its own quaintly marked arrow. Whether or not they led to the right place was another issue. I slowed my pace to read the signs and follow them along. Today is a rainy day. I did not know which genius thought to put a forecast into a wooden sign on the side of the road, but I followed the direction to go right regardless. The sky had not a drop of rain in sight. Warning, cliff ahead. As if it happened, neither was there a cliff ahead. Watch out for dragons. Dude, am I just going through a Dark Souls playthrough? I looked for the dragons, but the dragons did not arrive. Shameful. At some point, the text on the signs just turned to insults. Fool! You don't even know who you are. Stop following these signs. How many of these will you read? I walked and walked and walked. At the end of the final sign in the chain, I reached a clearing in the forest where I spotted the white rabbit talking with a limb. Your Majesty's left arm, please. I blinked, then I blinked again. Rubbing my eyes, I saw the same image. The white rabbit seemed just about prostrate herself to a living, moving arm. The arm, despite being an arm, had taken the higher position. The ground here is dirty. You needn't crawl here. Shall I take you back to the palace? Or would you prefer to go to the garden or the courtroom? In fact, do you happen to know where Her Majesty is? The arm smacked the white rabbit. Although I silently observed, the arm noticed me and began to crawl over, one handful of grass at a time. It moved like a snake, like a worm, like a piece of flesh and bone that shouldn't have been able to move, its writhing struggle sending a shiver up my spine. I didn't know if I should pick it up or kick it away. I didn't either, and it reached my feet. The arm proceeded to climb up my leg, my cloak, clinging like some sort of dirty parasite, making its slow way up until I pushed past my building disgust to hold it in my hand instead. Hand-holding with a severed arm, the flesh felt cold in my palm. I sensed no heartbeat at the wrist. Alice, Her Majesty's arm seems to have taken a liking to you. If you find Her Majesty, please return the limb to her and tell her that her rabbit did her best. I pray she hasn't met any trouble. A limb coming off isn't an everyday occurrence. So she made quite the understatement. Yes, of course. How did you know it was the Red Queen's arm? I would recognize Her Majesty's limbs anywhere. Do you admire her very much? Yes, of course, I respect Her Majesty very much. She united Wonderland into this kingdom and kept peace with a watchful gaze on the criminal populace. She's a decisive ruler who holds an agreeable worldview. This should be her divine right to rule Wonderland. I've heard a cat call her mad. A dangerous expression flashed through the white rabbit's eyes for barely a second. The Cheshire Cat is a known problem element here. If Her Majesty is mad, then such madness is in essence a brilliance. Though I may not be fated to be a favorite courtier, to be an aid to her is my greatest honor. I cannot be a white rabbit without Her Majesty. Why is the white rabbit following the Red Queen? Is there a red rabbit then? Yes, that should be how I view Her Majesty. I gave the rabbit's impromptu speech a short round of applause, balancing the detached arm in the crook of my elbow. The rabbit became flustered. She must also like you very much. All rulers had their dissidents and supporters. A certain man once said that the ruler was better feared than loved if she could not be both. Despite all of what the rabbit said, I knew little more about the Red Queen. The Red Queen is the ruler of all this land. What's your job? What's your job, White Rabbit? Yeah, she's the highest ruler of Wonderland. I deal with a little bit of everything: administrative matters, legal matters, and the personal matters of important people. Since we've met a few times, I could say that I'm important, couldn't I? That's right. Alice? To my tepid jest, I received a response that made me pause. The White Rabbit took out a watch and jumped in surprise upon looking at the time, quickly returning the watch to her pocket. Is it this time already? I'm afraid I must be off again, if that will be all. Thank you again, Alice. Hurriedly bowing a few times, she dashed off back to work. Having obtained one limb, I searched around for another. Before I knew it, the day passed. I looked toward the sky where the sun had begun to set. Letting out a yawn, I realized I needed a place to sleep for the night. I thought back to the parties who had helped me on my adventure to gather the Red Queen's dismembered parts. Surely I could find one of them. I only have Hatter as my option, so I guess things could be different here depending on what I do. I'm just going to save anyway. Should I go back and try the other option just to see what happens? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm just curious now. Oh, this episode's already running for a while. Okay, I'm going to check this out, and then if it doesn't go to a dead end or whatever, we'll just continue in the next episode. Okay, guys? All right. Remembering that the Cheshire Cat mentioned the White Queen, I decided to give the Queen a second visit. I thought I could easily replicate the road to her garden, having only recently been there. However, the more I walked, the more apparent it became that I was lost. Oh god, this became the Lost Woods, so this was just going to kill me. I passed through the right a handful of times already. I was going in circles and getting nowhere closer to that beautiful garden and its equally pretty owner. I sat aside and chose a bush at random to walk through instead of following a path. My cloak saved me from being scratched by the leaves and branches of the bushes. I came out on the other side to a particularly tall tree and a large bird cage. What the fuck is happening here? I spotted the White Queen inside the bird cage. Behind her was a limb, a leg. Hello? We meet again, Alice. I hadn't expected to see, that I would be trapped here again. I'm a little embarrassed that you're seeing me like this. I contemplated just asking for the leg and leaving. No, that would be a terribly foul thing to do, especially to a pretty person like her. Although in a way, it almost seemed like a good idea to leave a pretty bird locked up in a cage all for oneself. After all, how would you catch her if you let her go free? Is that the Red Queen's right leg? So that would appear. To find the Red Queen, you may have to find her parts as well. Even so, she should be able to help you find your way home. I'm sorry, Alice. Don't apologize. The key to my prison is atop the towering tree. Would you help me open this cage, Alice? Yes, of course. Agreeing to the request, I walked over the tall tree that the White Queen gestured towards. How tall it was, I couldn't say. If I angled my head and squinted, I could see the glimmering of a silver key at a high branch above. I circled the tree in the front and the back and the sides left and right, and they all looked equally hard to climb. As I pondered how to scale the tree, a little bird approached. A real animal? That's not an anime girl? Chirp, chirp. With all the talking animals and not quite animals in Wonderland, I had an inkling this one might speak as well. Perhaps it spoke French, like a French bird. Bonjour? Bonjour. Unfortunately, I knew little French. My practice had already gotten rusty. So much that the tutors would be ashamed. But I tried to pull out at least one more phrase. Où est ma chatte? Where's my cat? Chirp! I must have said the wrong words as the poor bird began to tremble. Parlez-vous anglais? Do you speak English? Yes, chirp, chirp. Cats? No cats, please. What are you doing? Chirp, chirp, chirp. I'm trying to get that key up there. What are you doing, little bird? Chirp, just having lots of fun every day. Not doing anything in particular. Now that the Red Queen, Her Majesty is missing, Wonderland is so much more wonderful. We can play and frolic as we want. Chirp, chirp. Auntie Bird got in trouble for breaking Her Majesty's laws, and now there's no more Auntie Bird. Chirp, chirp. I was so sad. Her Majesty was so scary. You won't tell on me, right, Chirp? Chirp, chirp. You look like a nice person, Chirp. Much nicer than her. Oh, I see. I'll help you with the key, Chirp. Puffing out his little chest, the bird flapped his wings and took off upward into the sky. It flew and flew, but soon enough became tired. Now reaching the key in the tree, the bird faltered and floated back down. It dipped its head in disappointment. Sorry, I couldn't do it, Chirp. Kill the bird. Okay, you know what? Where are my save options, bro? Bro, where are my save options, bro? Now fuck this bird. The more it chirped, the worse its voice grated on my ears. I picked up the bird in my hand, thinking I should shut it up. You shouldn't offer things you can't accomplish, Chirp. Without thinking, I squeezed the bird in my hand. It let out a strangled cry and pecked at any skin it could hit, squirming and wriggling before it went still between my fingers. Now my palm was dirty, dripping with bird. I shook my hand as if it would help get rid of some of the filth and wiped the rest off with a handkerchief that I surely had to throw away. What is wrong with me? Why did I do that? I'm sorry, guys. I just want to end the episode. You know what? I'm just going to fucking end the episode, bro. I don't know what's wrong with me. Clearly, I'm just tired of birds. I really flipped that bird. Obviously, these are two different options, and I think I'm just going to go back and continue my first path on save number 6. So I'm just going to do that instead of doing this other route, because this other route seems like it might lead to something different, and I've already killed a bird in pure rage when I could have just pet it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I have no idea how long this is going to be. I thought this was going to be a shorter game, but no, there's going to be a bit of a build-up in this game. I can already tell. So it's going to probably be a few episodes before I finish this, so we'll slowly work our way through this. So, yeah, I hope to see what will happen in one of the endings. We'll try to see if I get invested from the first ending. I'll try to get the other endings as well, like in the other visual novels I've been playing recently. But until then, if you guys like this video, please leave a like down below. It helps me a lot. If you hated it, you can even dislike it. I don't really care. Subscribe if you want more. It always makes me happy to know if people want to watch more. And as always, I hope you guys all have a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.